Early. I know we're going to move it. Oh, good evening. It is now 7 o'clock. Requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met. The meeting was advertised in the Burlington County Times, and an electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we now have a moment of silence, there was an automobile accident, I believe it was Saturday, in West Hampton. So let's have a moment of silence for the victims that were involved in that, if we could. Thank you. Roll call.
Committeewoman Dr. Caldwell.
Present.
Committeewoman Ms. Maddox Cantine.
Here.
Committeeman Mr. Carr.
Here.
Committeewoman Ms. Mungo.
Here.
And Mayor Henley.
Here.
Committee is present. Also, we have the Township Solicitor, the Township Clerk, the Township Administrator, the Township Deputy Administrator, the Police Chief, and the Fire EMS Chief in attendance as well.
Thank you. We will now have our annual report. Actually, we won't. So we're skipping 6 and going to 7, correct?
Yes.
So presentation on safety on the agenda. Mr. Joe Henry from Hartenberg Insurance.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you again. It's that time of year. It went quickly. So for those of you who are not aware, as a member of the GIF, you have to have something on the agenda at least once a year. So we come up with a topic, share it with you, and then share it with the safety committee. So everybody remembers how excessively hot it was last year. Our topic is going to be heat injury and stress prevention, and I'll get into that as we get into it a little bit deeper why we've chosen that topic. So heat is the leading cause of death among all weather-related phenomena in the U.S. It's long been recognized as an occupational hazard. Excessive heat can cause a number of adverse health effects, including heat stroke and even death if not treated properly. So basically, your workers are at risk when they're outdoors in excessive heat, so we want to make them safe. So the OSHA Act of 1970 simply states that as an employer, you are required to have a safe work environment for your employees free from hazards. Since 2021, OSHA has been developing a heat injury and illness prevention standard. It is expected to be finalized, they say, any day. I'm pretty sure it'll be done by the summer. I can't say when, but I'm sure it will be done. So even without that standard in place, OSHA has their inspectors have something called a general duty clause, which basically gives them the right to cite you for anything that they find unsafe. So I'm sure some of these practices are already in place, and again, I'll touch on those as we move on. So the purpose of this policy is to recognize dangers in excessive heat, assess the situation, and control the workplace where your employees are safe. 2 ways to do it, administratively and with your supervisors, and you will collectively do that together, I'm sure. So you want to consider a modified work schedule. Keep in mind some of these things you're already doing. Typically, if it gets excessively hot, you'll start work at 6 instead of 8. You'll get finished at 2 instead of 4, just to keep your employees safe. Self-pacing and extra breaks if needed should be encouraged and incorporate a buddy system. It's very, very important. I'll cite an example we had in Atlantic County last year. Long-time employee, great employee, was not feeling well. One of the other employees noticed that he wasn't feeling well, mentioned it to the supervisor. So the supervisor said, "Charlie, go sit down, get some water, go get some shade." He didn't want to, wanted to continue to work. He's that kind of a dedicated employee. The supervisor insisted that he did. He did get hydrated, continued to not feel well. They called 911, and unfortunately he suffered a mild heart attack, which could have been much, much worse if his fellow employees weren't looking out for him. So that worked out favorably. Continuing on to page 7, you want to periodically review your policy to ensure it meets regulatory standards, and I'll touch on that in just a little bit. Ensuring training is happening and being documented, and you want to get a local weather station to monitor the local weather to make sure you are prepared when the heat wave hits. Your employees will have some responsibilities as well. The training that your supervisor sets up, they should attend, follow the heat stress prevention measures, and as I just mentioned, encourage teammates to follow. It's best that they're looking out for each other, and you want to stress that when you're doing your training. And you want to take appropriate action like they did in Atlantic County if you see somebody is not feeling well. Designate an employee to do that training, see that it's scheduled, ensure that it conforms to the heat stress policy, and deliver that training. And when I say training, any training is available as a JIF member at no cost, and it is available online for all your employees. Hydration, employees must have access to drinking water. 2 gallons of water per employee is the recommendation. Lots of time they bring their own, but under the policy, you will be required to supply the water. The cooling mechanism shown here, just gloss over that. You can buy some things to cool your employees down. You can get these little 10 by 10s. If you have a workstation that they're going to be at all day that doesn't have a tree available to get under, you can utilize those. And in the training, it'll show you the types of heat illnesses that you can incur. Cramps, we've all had heat cramps. You want to get hydrated. Typically, that will make it get better. You can go back to work after those cramps go away. Heat exhaustion, that's what they recognize in Atlantic County. They can include headache, nausea, dizziness, and weakness. You keep in mind that training will show those. You want to sit somebody down if they do suffer from heat exhaustion so it doesn't go into heat stroke, which can be fatal at times. So in conclusion, from a safety committee standpoint, the health and welfare of your employees is paramount. Their objective is to see that each employee returns home to their families the same way they came to work. OSHA standards are designed to make that happen, and when I say an OSHA standard, keep in mind that that is also a law. If OSHA sets a standard, you have to follow that. As a JIF safety consultant, Jay Montgomery is your partner in achieving this goal. Their safety team has already developed a template to comply with OSHA's heat and illness requirements. That is available on the website. You simply go in. It's a fillable form. You just go in, pop in West Hampton Township. You have the policy, you print it, you put it in with your other policies, and you are good to go if you have an OSHA inspector come to see you and wants to see that policy in place. So that is it. That's all we have for this year. That concludes. Thanks again for the opportunity to serve as your RMC. We appreciate it. Is there anything related to this or any questions related to safety committee, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Annual report, the tax collector's report is approval of minutes. February 25th, 2025, regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to ask for a motion to approve the corrected minutes. There was just 2 minor changes related to me.
Okay. Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call.
1 second. Get my stuff together here. Dr. Fulton?
Yes.
Ms. Maddox Candy?
Yes.
Mr. Hart?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
5 yes, motion passes.
So we're going to go out of order on the agenda and vote on the executive session resolutions. There's a typo on the agenda, and the executive session reads 35-25. Tonight's executive session it actually should be 51-25. So 51-25, resolution authorizing the township and supportive staff to meet in private session and authorizing the exclusion of the public from that portion of the meeting, dealing with specific issues requiring non-public discussion, attorney-client privilege, personnel, litigation, and collective bargaining. FOP supervisors. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion for the executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I thought you were going to say like a ready, set, go or something. All right. Oh, we already, wait a minute. There is a need to amend the agenda to add resolution 50-25. Clerk White, please provide the details.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
We need a motion to come out of
To
closed.
come, yeah.
You have a motion to come out of close?
Motion.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
People get silly after 8 o'clock. That's why I wanted to get
I'll
this
make
going.
it, all right, I'll make it quick. A resolution approving a tax appeal settlement for S4 Hospitality LLC on the property located at 10 Western Drive, Block 904, Lot 4, or Block 904, Lot 4, sorry. Is there a motion on the floor to accept this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Is there all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Now open the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Please remember to state your name and address for the record, as well as write your name and address on the sign-in sheet on the podium. That's enough. No, you gotta talk in the mic.
I want to be off the record for a second. Did
Oh,
you do
well then put your hand over the mic, because that's what I did.
Did you do anything with the tax collector report? Because I did have a question about that. If you didn't,
No.
then I can bring it up the next time.
No, we didn't do anything with the tax collector report.
It's item...
No, yeah, it's on the agenda. You can comment on it now.
Oh, okay, all right. So Gary Barbarian, 138 Winstead. So on the agenda, the item that I had a comment about was the tax collector report. I'm going to refer to a section of the report. I don't know if you guys had a chance to read the report at all. I'm going to give her kind of like a B- on the report, and the only reason I'm going to do that, and the only reason I'm going to do that is, in the section of her report, which I think is in the packet, page 10 of 59, it's the workload and future. I'm not a fan of hyperbole in these reports. She mentioned something about, we continue to do the stuffing and mailing of our tax bills as Edmunds charges a, quote, ridiculous amount of money to do it themselves. I would have preferred to see, exactly what is it that they're charging and the cost benefit to us doing it ourselves. So that would have been a little bit helpful to see. And then right below, there's a whole comment about Emily. Is Emily the deputy tax collector? Is that who she's referring to in this report? Does anyone know?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting because I took a little bit of a look at this, and kind of my vibe is that it seems to be that, is Emily going to be sort of the heir apparent? Do you think she's being groomed to be the tax collector? Is that sort of
We don't know that until we don't have a tax collector. And who posts for the position and those things. But we can't talk about it.
We're not allowed to talk about personnel things in open without notifying the individual and them selecting to have it in open. So really, I would advise the committee not to respond about any personnel matters such as Emily or anyone else's future positions.
Okay, fair enough. I get that. Okay.
Try to get me in trouble, Gary?
Huh?
Try to get me in trouble?
No, it's just that the structure of the report, I mean, the way that I was reading it, just trying to help Emily out, that's all.
So Gary, Mayor, if I may?
Of course.
West Hampton does a wonderful job putting their packets online, and it's so nice that the residents get to view this. Not every township does that. And me, for one, this is the reason why I would not put this on my agenda, is so this sort of thing would not happen with naming an employee. This is more internal for the committee members to see, not the public.
Okay.
So I would ask the administrator or the committee, if you don't mind, in the future, this should not be available to the public.
We agree.
It is for your viewing pleasure and for you to ask questions.
Yes. Actually, Dr. Caldwell brought that up previously.
I'll give you my 2 cents. I think the top half of the report was probably available for the public, but maybe she could have redacted the second part of this report. But I understand what you're saying, and just from my viewpoint, just looking at it, I did have some questions.
Fair enough. All in favor of closed public comment?
Aye.
Sweet eyes, guys. Ordinance, second reading, public hearing. 1-2025, an ordinance creating Chapter 19 of the Township Code of West Hampton. Township Clerk. Motion.
I make a motion for 1-2025, second reading.
Second.
Open to public comment.
Just like to thank Mr. Mayor for holding us off one more meeting to address some of people's concerns about the public posting. Thank you.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. I like that. Roll call.
Dr. Falco?
Yes.
Ms. Max Cantine?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henry?
Yes.
5 yes, motion passes.
2025, ordinance authorizing the extension of the open space tax. This ordinance authorizes the submission to the voters of West Hampton Township at the general election on November 4th, 2025, an extension of the open space tax, .02 per 100 of assessed value for the period not exceeding 20 years. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Open to public comment. Roll call.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Ms. Max Cantine?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henry?
Yes.
5 yes, motion passes.
Ordinance first reading, 3-2025, ordinance amending Chapter 59 of the Code of West Hampton Recreation Advisory Committee. Motion.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Ms. Max Cantine?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henry?
Yes.
5 yes, motion passes.
Resolution 44-25, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of bills through 3/11/2025. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Ms. Max Cantine?
Abstain.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henry?
Yes.
4 yes, motion passes.
Consent agenda resolution note. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted with a single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by the certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second. Caldwell.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Caldwell?
Yes.
Ms. Max Cantine?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Mungo?
Yes.
Mayor Henry?
Yes.
5 yes, motion passes.
Mayor appointments, historic preservation. Historic Commission Class B member for a 4-year term is Dan McGonigal. Historic Commission alternate member for a 4-year term is Harry Bell. We will now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Please remember, this is for comment only.
So, Gary Barbarian, 138 Winstead. So, for the first time, I attended the Burlington County Bridge Commission meeting. They had it today. They did it via the telephone. I think typically they do it in person. It's kind of an obscure body, but what's interesting, and the reason I'm bringing it up here, is because they actually have sort of a function of that commission. They have an economic development responsibility. And I was trying to get more information well, first I'll tell you this. Their meeting lasted exactly 11 minutes. So they talked for 6 minutes, and I talked for 5, because I had some questions. So I'll give them credit. They were courteous to me. They let me kind of post my comments. I was asking questions around the economic development piece. I was looking on their website for more information, but apparently they offer local government and non-for-profit financing. And their website just didn't have any information as to, what was the scope and spec of that. So I asked for more information about that. Specifically, I wanted to know, what's the average, amount awarded? What is the sort of typical, kind of project for a nonprofit that kind of, meets threshold for funding, that sort of a thing. So according to their site, that they save taxpayers roughly $27.3 million. So I don't know, maybe that could be an option for financing. First, I really even heard about this body to make it available for us. So something we might want to take a look at. I also kind of followed up with them, asking them if they had any best practices for how they would want to work with the liaison. Now, I know that the remit is pretty narrow here for Ms.
Maddox Canteen.
Yeah, and Dr. Caldwell, sorry, I'm getting punchy too. But I wonder maybe if we want to consider expanding their remit specifically for this Bridge Commission, only for the purpose of understanding if we have issues that we want to bring to them regarding, sort of this financing option. So I have about 5 or 6 questions as a phrased comment to them. If they ever respond back to me, I can kind of share that with you, what I kind of learned from them, essentially. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. So that's it, guys.
They didn't answer your question, Gary?
Sorry?
They didn't answer your question?
No, they didn't answer any of them.
Economic development zones from Palmyra to Florence along 130, on both sides of 130. So Willenboro is the end. We generally don't qualify.
Yeah, I was trying to get the link to pull up to see the map of that development, but I thought that those projects were somewhat different than this other piece that they're willing to do. And there's also the Small Business Loan Committee that they have available to them. So there might be some financing option that you might know of people looking for to put a business here that could fit. So I just, all of the above, right?
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
All in favor of close?
Aye.
Dates to remember: next township meeting, March 25th at 7 p.m. Land Development Board meeting, April the 2nd at 7 p.m. Historic Commission, March 26th at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting, March 12th at 7 p.m. Also, the 6888 movie day is March 29th at 2 p.m. And then we'll have a guest speaker after the movie who was a descendant of one of the 6888 members. Committee liaison report and comments.
If I could I'll keep it really short. Thank you, Gary, for coming tonight. Thank you, all of our department heads. Obviously, you guys do a lot of work, so thank you very much. And Gary, I just haven't forgotten your comment about the last meeting about the possible paths of acquiring property for, the leasehold estates and so on. So I'm still looking into that. Thank you. That's all. Great.
I can go. My committee report is mostly about the West Hampton Board of Education. So last night, they had their tentative budget meeting, and what I learned from that meeting is they are proposing a 5.36% increase to the school board tax levy, which would be about a $56 a year impact on the average home in West Hampton. So just something to know. Also, proud to announce that we'll be hosting our first annual Women's History Essay Contest on March 25th here, 7 o'clock at the committee meeting, much like we did on February 25th. So I'm expecting another positive turnout. The only difference this time is it will be our WIS students, which is grades 4 and 5. So please come out and listen to our students read their essays and honor someone. I also just wanted to thank our administrative team for being thorough and patient and explaining things. I'm new to my position, and I appreciate you taking the time so I can fully understand, what it is that I'm reading and potentially voting on. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Mine's quick. Just, again, thank you to our department heads. And Gary, thank you for always coming. I love listening to, the different things that you have for us. You haven't had us an article. You always find articles for us to, it's going on. So thank you again for being here. So.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate your time and the attention that you pay to the Township of West Hampton. Ditto in terms of Gary, we appreciate you always having an interest in the township and attending meetings, coming back, getting information, and providing it not only to the committee but to the township. So we are appreciative of that. The Timbuktu Advisory Committee, I did meet with Guy Weston from the Timbuktu Historical Society last Friday, and we discussed partnering on an event sometime this summer with reenactments, vendors, food trucks, a number of different things from a historical perspective for that Timbuktu gym that we have in the township. As far as West Hampton Recreation, yes, we do have a meeting tomorrow evening Here in the courtroom at 7 p.m., we're going to discuss the Easter egg hunt, which is going to be April 12th. Our summer camp information is on the website. There's a ton of great summer camps for all of the kids. Opening of the sports complex is going to be mid-March, and we're going to get new turf replacement, and that started this past week, and that's going to be absolutely fantastic when that finishes up. That started on yesterday. We have a pizza party for our basketball participants on the 22nd, and that's going to be from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. And anyone that can stop by and help, we're looking forward to having you do so. In terms of the Burlington Township Committee, there was a meeting that I attended on the 26th at 7 p.m. We're all looking forward to Dr. Hobson coming on the 25th to join us once again, and we're very interested in having her come out and answering questions from the township. In terms of the senior bingo luncheon, Dr. Caldwell and I are working out a little, some issues that have come up with that, so we're going to be making some changes with that, but we're still looking forward to having that, and we do have some interest in terms of the township members to participate, so we're super excited about that. I'm just going to end with a quote because it is Women's History Month, and I just want to end with this quote. Don't ever underestimate the importance you can have. History has shown us that courage can be courageous and hope can take on a life of its own. That's from Michelle Obama. Just wanted to end with that quote. Mayor Henley?
Thank you. About the field, someone just texted me like, what is this in the field? And I'm like, they're like, is it the turf? I'm like, well, probably. So I'm glad to hear that, the update, because I did tell them it was probably the turf. Calendars, we got our calendars in, like the magnet calendars. I got one already, so you don't have to mail it to me. It works, fantastic, 6 on the refrigerator, so that should lessen some of the questions about when's trash being picked up, leaf, brush. Our fine chief of our fire department put some of it together, and then our fine chief of our police department read over it and fixed a few things. So it was a great team effort, and I would say that all the way around. Everyone added something in, so we're very excited to see the success that people find it very knowledgeable and helpful for what we were able to do, and we were able to bond get a new relationship because they actually did a fantastic deal for us to be able to get this done. So. Stop signs. We have stop signs going in around the school fairly soon, I believe. It's up already. You put them up, people got to stop. Yeah, it's live when they go in the ground. So that is a way that we've always talked about our public safety with our children being number one, and I think that is a perfect way to start off when we've talked about some of the speeding issues are some of the things that we've seen that can help with our traffic and our safety overall. So thank you, Chief. I appreciate you getting that done out there. Beautiful weather today. What was very encouraging was seeing the kids at the park. I seen the park over in the new development riding by, and it was swamped. People walking their dog out, kids playing out on the jungle gym or whatever they call it nowadays. And my development people, it was a bunch of kids and parents. It gives parents an opportunity to get to meet each other and who goes to school with who. It's just a great way to build a community. It's like those things. The playgrounds do cost a lot, but that's an expense that's well worth it when you see everyone using it. You see the parents able to work together and talk to each other. The one thing that I would say is that if we could, please be careful. Let's remember that, that there's kids out there playing. Let's slow it down. Make sure that we're watching out for them. Fair enough? With that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
No, thank you.